civilization where humans run wild in the jungles. And the superior beings are apes.
Tribunal has placed you in my custody for final disposition. Do you realize what that means? No. Emasculation to begin with. Then experimental surgery on the speech centers, on the brain. Then a kind of living death.
Hey guys, welcome to a fresh at the movies where instead of Ingrid, I have Bianca with me on this one.
The replacement is permanent. I'm just
No,
kidding.
it's not. No. So long as I still have that thumbnail with Ingrid, she's not going anywhere.
Dang it! I'm just kidding.
But yeah, today after we went over the adaptation of the Planet of the Apes, the 61 of which Bianca admitted she never saw those, and they were free on Fox. I suggested to her to check them out, and she's seen at least 2.5. She's partway, as of this recording, she's partway through the third one. But we're going to talk about the first one today, the 1968 classic Planet of the Apes. And well, Bianca, what did you think about going into it?
I was thinking, like, since we did the comic, I was like, how similar is this going to be?
Very late.
Yeah. I was like, even the character and the way he acted was completely different to the story material. And honestly, hold on.
Uh-oh.
I'm back.
Keep going.
What was I talking about? It was talking about
the other comic. The other comic.
Yeah. The way he acted was completely different. How they showed the rest of the characters, the people that were with him, also very different. And honestly, I gotta like the comic version of it more, to be honest.
Really?
And it wasn't because of like how futuristic it looked in the comic compared to the movie, because I did like the portrayal of how they showed the village in the movie.
Ape City, Ape City.
Yeah, it was just the portrayal of the movie, I guess. It felt more...
I have to pause 1 second. I'm switching over. Give me 1 moment. Keep talking. I'm leaving for a second. I'm just switching over to Chrome. So keep talking.
Yeah. I just felt like like the character was much more likable in the comic version compared to the movie version. And like the two characters, I was like, I thought they were all going to be white, but one of them was black. And sometimes I'm just like, okay, so he's black, but he's obviously like gonna have the same fate as the like original comic. But how they treat these two other characters, like in the comic, I liked it because they were treated just like they were there, they died, blah. But in the movie, the white one has so much dialogue, and him and the main guy are like talking and arguing all the time, and I'm like, okay, I feel like you make me want to care about you, but I know you're going to die, so I feel like there's no point. While the black guy, he was barely in any scenes
I'm
at
back.
all, barely any dialogue. Yes.
Well, yeah, but that goes along ahead with even in both adaptations, they were the same. That was one of the things that was similar in both versions.
Yeah. Well, he was still white in the comic.
Oh yeah,
version, right?
In the comic version, he was white. They went with him being black here. Yes.
It's so funny. Like every time he says something, it's because he, for some reason, is ahead of them by like 2 miles or something. He's like, "Hey, over here," and I'm like, "Why are you walking so fast? Why can't I have you do this dialogue with everybody else, with the other
Actually,
crew members?"
quick thing. You want to see something interesting?
Oh yeah, of course. Interesting.
They
Is fun.
actually, you want to see the makeup test? The reason why I switched over to Chrome. Do you want to see the makeup test? They actually followed more of the comic adaptation, the original script version.
Yes.
And see, yeah, this is when we actually had Edward G. Robinson playing Dr. Zaius, but he couldn't commit to do it with the makeup. He already had a pain in the ass when they did it for the test. So he had to bow out.
Oh.
Yep.
His name was Thomas. Together with 2 other astronauts, one
You hear
of them
it?
assigned,
Mm-hmm.
left the Earth for an exploration of the star.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff was used for the comic adaptation. Hold on, let me get to actually when we actually have the actors. Here we go. And still Heston.
Good evening, Mr. Thomas. Feeling fine, I hope.
Considering I've been kept in a cage for 6 weeks, I'm fine, yeah.
Good.
Ooh, look at that makeup.
Ooh.
City.
He looks like a Thundercat.
Well, the whole point with the show that the makeup could be done not laughable.
You won't be returning to the city.
Why not, Doctor? Is it the caskets you found?
Yes, I've seen those caskets. And the headstone. Of some long-range interest to the archaeologists, perhaps.
Nothing more than that.
The findings in those excavations.
I'll skip ahead when we had Cornelius and Zero show up, and
Ooh.
different actors playing the version of I'm Here Too.
Mm-hmm.
We found it in some kind of artificial...
Remember that?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
He looks so young.
Mm-hmm. Now, by that, that's James Brolin, Josh Brolin's dad.
You assume I know them.
Thanos, the guy who played Thanos. That's the dad.
Oh.
Yeah, that's his dad.
With big ears.
And he almost, well, that was done because of they being like chimps, big ears.
Yeah.
And this, that's the actors who will play Nova.
Oh.
But yeah,
Chimpanzees have big ears?
some of them do. But I just wanted to show you some of the makeup, and this was the early stuff. But yeah, as you can see though, even during this point, you can see that Cheston was committed to either version of the character.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I just wanted to show you that little bit.
He looks so young in this one, though.
It's not. It was only a year or two beforehand, though.
How is he bald? How he was losing so much hair?
It could have happened while shooting and all that, but again, I mean, I get what you're saying about that, but let me ask, what did you think about how they handled the civilization here? Where in the other one, there was some of the segregation, but not as much. It was more just class segregation. Here, no, there was segregation among the chimps, the orangutans, and the gorillas.
Yeah, it was interesting. And then of course, did they explain it in the first movie about how the personalities compared to different species are?
They didn't explain it, but yeah, they did. Yeah, they pretty much did. They didn't say it was words, but you could already tell. The gorillas were the military, the orangutans were the religion and the law keepers, and the chimps were the scientists.
Also with they said that the chimpanzees were pacifists while the guerrillas were
Or the
like,
savages. Now, of course, this
yeah.
is going back off of the early days, what people saw. Now they know better. Now they know that
And
chimps
now they know it's the opposite. That's so funny.
and orangutans could be very hostile. Yeah, because
Mhm.
for a long time people thought orangutans were the docile groups. Now they know better. But what did I say? What did you think about Dr. Zayas?
Oh,
Talk about complicated character, right?
yeah. I think his was his character was one of the most similar to the comic version
Oh yeah,
that I
for
like.
similar but not
Very lucid.
identical.
Yeah. Some
But
things here and there.
yeah, and Zira, I like movie Zira better.
Zira is Bay.
She especially. Oh, I love when she would just tell any of them off and everything. And Cornelius, I love Cornelius.
Cornelius is also
and they
Bay.
felt like such a great couple, didn't they?
They matched each other very well.
Zira, do you want me to get my head chopped off? Okay, we're jumping all over the place. Okay, Taylor is he and his friends they arrive on Earth. There was 4 of them. One of them being a female, which I think made more sense than in the comic and the original adaptation. You know, having there be at least one woman made more sense, but she died.
Which, like you said, like I remember you saying that in the comic book version, and I'm like, okay. So I believe it was like, and back in the day, they treat the women like very differently in movies, which I've heard before, and seeing some of the movies, I was like, okay, I understand what you mean.
And this was also going off of the stupid idea that, you just need one woman to repopulate the planet. No,
work that way.
It does. Back then, they thought it did. Again, this is before they found out about inbreeding and everything and the dangers of that. Because they were basing it off of the Bible, the whole Adam and Eve complex. They thought, it worked before, it'll happen again. It's like, no.
No.
There might have been one exception way back in our early days, maybe, but not now.
Also, like way back then, people would just have kids and kids and kids. Like sometimes some people would be like having like 6 in one go, and I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, it's not like that nowadays. I mean, it still happens, but no way near as common.
Definitely. But again, that was the whole complex they had. But yeah, basically then they wander their way over there. They see the ancient humans. And I love that bit about like, if this is the best this planet's got, we'll be running this thing in a month.
I was like, no, this guy's evil.
No, he's just thinking pragmatically.
Yeah, he was saying how the other guy was too optimistic, and then
way too optimistic.
Negative.
And I was like, it's like, I'm a seeker too, but I'm not like you. I think there's some place that's better. There has to be someone better than man. Has to be. Again, that's one thing I did like about Taylor. He was looking for something better than man, but then got more than he bargained for.
Yeah, and the other guy says that I'm willing to die, and Taylor was like, I'm not.
I'm not. But then eventually they get caught into a raid from the apes gathering up humans. One of them, the black one, like you said, he got killed, and the other one got hit and fell down. Now, one of the comics actually reveals that fall is not what caused him to need the being lobotomized.
Yeah.
You want to know what caused it?
Was it Zayas?
Not that, no.
Was it being hit in the head?
It was being hit in the head, but it was hit in the head. And now the comic, when the comics reveal this, and remember Ursus from the second movie? He's the one who did it.
Punk.
Yeah, but we'll get to him in the next movie. But of course, so those two are now completely no use help for Taylor, who got shot in the throat as well. Just like in the comic version.
I am glad in the movie they didn't go as far with the whole speaking thing. Like in the comic, he used his own.
He started doing the big speeches and everything. Here
like
it took a lot longer for him to be able to speak again.
I was like, oh, okay, writing in the sand. I prefer that than you sticking your hand into the blood and writing on the wall.
Yeah, and then it got washed off by happenstance. Mm-hmm. Although I did love when you have Zayas look at it and he realizes, like, oh dear. He erases it then. But I love that. You could tell the gears moving in his head. He's like, oh dear. Can't have that.
I did
And
also like the the portrayal of Nova in the
oh,
comic a
Nova.
lot
Oh,
better than the
oh.
movie.
And he didn't. Well, because they didn't have much for her to do.
I hate her face.
Well, thing is, though, she was the then wife of the head of Fox.
Ah. Is that why she looked disgusted every single time they zoomed in on her face?
No,
Like
no, no,
there's
no. She wasn't.
a
She wasn't used to it. She wasn't used to it.
oh, she's a newbie. That's why she's so bad.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's supposed to be like you look confused, you
everyone
look
did what they could to help her.
happy.
Everyone did what they could to help her.
Why did not they just give her acting classes?
I think it helped her being mute, though. At least helped.
Ah.
But anyway, then we went it. But then, eventually, he tries to spell things out to Zero, who she is just so sweet to the humans. She just feels,
Mhm.
but then even when Taylor reached and grabbed her to take her notepad, she still didn't want him hurt.
Yeah, I loved that. But I feel like he would. I wish he didn't do things so aggressively.
True.
But that was his personality in the movie, so it made sense.
Yep, I know. And although I will say I did prefer him trying to get away as opposed to just saying, I speak or whatever when he's strapped down. I think I liked it better
Mhm.
him running because it showed that he had some initiative once he realized what they were going to do.
Yeah, it gave him a motive,
Yeah,
that
he had
they
to get
said
out of
that they
there. He had
didn't
to get
have.
out of there. He didn't know what he was going to do, but he had to get out of there. And again, I love that whole chase setup stuff about the ape society, just subtly. Like they still have funerals like we do, things like that.
Mhm.
I was like, look, a man. But yeah, we got to talk the ape makeup. What did you think about the makeup here?
um, it I think from what I remember, I think it looks better than the Wahlberg ones,
Really,
Mark
I thought
Wahlberg
the
ones.
Wahlberg one was a bit more expressive, but at the same time, no, these were just as expressive for their old days.
Cornelius and Zero kiss weird in the mask.
Well,
Oh.
unfortunately, they couldn't do it. You think that was weird? Imagine trying to be from their point of view. They couldn't feel each other's faces, so they didn't know if they were pushing too hard and possibly risking destroying the appliances.
Gosh dang! Every time I'm like, just don't kiss, hug.
Oh, I guess. What did you think about going back a ways when the apes were first revealed, like the gorillas and everything? That was a great reveal, wasn't it?
The gorillas.
Yeah, but that was a great reveal,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it? Like,
yeah.
I love it. I was like, smile. Again,
Okay.
stuff like that. That was just clever ways of introducing them.
Like, I was like, oh, they're hunting for sport and for money, and they're like poaching, just like how we do with animals.
Exactly.
Interesting. Except for this one, they're not looking for rare humans. They're just doing it to everybody.
Yeah, well, because as Zayas put it, they do it because humanity breeds out of control.
And I was surprised that like in the comic, everything was so futuristic, and this they are
Basically,
more primitive.
basically humanity during the wars knocked everything back to the Stone Age, so there wasn't that much left for the apes to rebuild.
Yeah, and I found that super interesting. I'm like, wow, you're still using like older stuff. So you guys have to like relearn and make your own
Exactly.
future. Too bad.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. The only thing that humanity left were the guns.
Yeah, of course they did.
And the horses.
Oh, poor horses.
But of course, eventually then, he finally says that famous line, "Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape." Which I should point out, Heston had a cold when he shot, or the flu, when he shot that scene, which is why his voice was so gravelly.
Ah, okay.
Yep, but then, of course, he's brought before a kangaroo court. Well, that's what it was. They knew exactly the whole point of that cold trial was not to prove or disprove anything about Taylor. It was to hang Cornelius and Zira. Because it's like it was the opportunity they had been looking for.
Yep.
Oh, I also loved earlier when before he spoke, Zero and Cornelius, when he was doing all the writing stuff and everything, and it's just all this stuff. But I love it. Like, he could be a missing link. Touchy, isn't he? Again, Roddy was so perfect as Cornelius. Like, you truly felt like for both him and Zero, you felt like you didn't want anything bad to happen to them. You adored them.
Yeah, I love them so much.
Yeah, but then as it went on, of course, they eventually make their way. Sorry, after that. Oh, I also love the like not fall, flew. Flight is a scientific impossibility, and even if it weren't, where would it get us? So it makes a paper airplane.
Pew! And
And
they're
they're
like,
just like,
what is this?
they were just like, they were stunned. But again, I love the simplicity of their expressions through the masks.
Yeah, and the fact that even Zaius like knew what a paper
What it
airplane
was, he just like,
and I'm like,
it's
bro,
toy. It floats on the air. Why would you try it? I think not.
crumbles it.
Again, the actor doing Zaius was so incredible, wasn't he? You just felt this.
Yeah.
You could never tell what if he was good, bad, or just, you know.
Insane?
I don't think he was insane. I wouldn't go that far. Although,
Insane with power.
oh yeah, but then obviously we do the trial sequence and everything, and that's also we find about Brent being lobotomized, and basically then they're ready to say like, oh no, oh, and I say that one, the prosecutor, I wanted to strangle him, didn't you? When every time he was making all these outlandish claims that we know weren't true.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh,
Like
bro.
claiming that Zira had experimented on Taylor to make him talk.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's not how that works,
But
bro.
they don't know that. They didn't know that.
He's a psychologist.
No,
Sorry,
well,
psychiatrist.
no. That was Zaius, not the prosecutioner. Remember, it was another orangutan, but it wasn't Zaius.
There was like 3 orangutans.
4 of them.
4 orangutans.
3 at the table and 1 that was the prosecutioner. Oh, and yes, the hall was all improv.
I didn't even notice he did that. What the heck?
All 3 of them did that. We had one like, and the other one's like, and the others.
Bro, it didn't even hit me.
Yeah, they were doing the oldest ape joke.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't even.
But it
think
makes sense
that.
for Zaius, though. He's covering his mouth because, he has secrets to keep.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, then afterwards, after they're ready to deal with Zira and Cornelius, Zaius brings Taylor to meet before him because he thinks, like, I don't believe any of the stuff you're telling me, but I do know there's more like you somewhere. Tell me where they are. And I just love, like, even through your lies, some truth slips through. That fictional place you talk about, Fort Wayne. What about it? A fort! Again, I get it. It's like he has all of the, he has the answers. He's not understanding the question.
Yeah. One thing I was like confused about is like in the comic book, I don't think they ever said any specifics, but in the movie they specifically said, "Oh, it's 2,000 years, it's 3950," and but they still automatically thought it wasn't there. It wasn't Earth
because as far as they thought they were heading out to another planet.
But for that planet, that year wouldn't really be specifically 3950, would it?
Well, yeah, it would be. No. This is based off of how far it's passed on Earth. Remember, they had 2 different clocks. One where it was what the time felt like for the astronauts, and one for what it was supposed to be like when they're in space. Now, here's the other thing. They were supposed to come back to Earth. All right, they were supposed to. But as far as they saw, because they crashed and crashed in the water, that couldn't have been Earth. They must have crashed somewhere else. They never would have considered the fact that Earth had changed so radically that there would be water in the spot they were supposed to land on.
That's true.
When you think about it, because of all the nuclear war that happened, of course it's going to drastically change the planet.
That is correct. After looking at the map, I'm like, oh dang, they really messed up.
Yeah, but But yeah, of course, then eventually, like we find out that Zeus wants to find where their tribe is. He doesn't think that he's an abomination created by Zera. No, he thinks like, no, there's another tribe of you out there. Tell me where they are, and I will make sure no harm comes to you. And then eventually, we have Zera's nephew. What was it? What was his name?
I just saw the movie and I forgot to. I just referred to him as the nephew.
It was. Hold on. Zero.
Does it start with an N? Does it start with a Z?
No. Hold on. Lucius.
Dang it, in the middle.
Yeah, but it was Lucius. Oh no! Oh, by the way, turned out the kid who played Lucius is still acting to this day.
Nice.
But yeah, he saves them and everything. Also introduces some ideas of there being, pro-human sentiment among the apes.
Which is nice.
Yep. But yeah, then they break him out there so they can go to the dig site that Cornelius had worked on a year prior, where he had found proof of a species of a civilization existed long before their sacred scrolls were ever written. And so they go there, but not long after they get there, they they bring Nova along. But not long after they get there, of course, Zeus realized and knew they were going to head there. So they intercept them, but then they stop. They hold Zeus hostage so they can say, if they prove you wrong, they get to go free. Agreed. So they go in there, and Cornelius starts showing him all these different things they found. Stuff that was long before man. I do like how Zeus is ready to spin out. He has an answer for almost everything. He's like, well, remember long ago, the apes used to keep humans as household pets until our lawgiver realized they could never be tamed.
And then he uses like the scriptures too.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing. I love how Taylor points out, saying how he's not only your lawkeeper, but keeper of the faith.
Mm-hmm.
And they are complete. They have nothing to do with the other. It's like bullshit. I love that, didn't you? It was just this whole it's where you have the religion and the law in one being, and it's like, of course, he's going to want to keep things hush hush.
And it's like their religion is so close to our Bible in the way it's like written and stuff.
And the God created ape in his own image.
And I'm like, you could have literally used that in court. They're like, because they usually was like, oh, then how come blah 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 ape in his own image? And I'm like, dude, say you have like the same religion, but
they wouldn't have believed it. They wouldn't have believed it though. Let's be honest. I think Taylor had realized that they would not have believed it. But then, of course, you have the doll. And I love how it was Nova fiddling with it. Like it's like she triggered like Mama, and everyone's just like, Dr. Zeus, you're saying that, and they came up with a human doll that talked?
I was gonna say, did they really have one that specifically looks so human?
Well, if you notice, one other line that Taylor said, he once knew a man much like that. That lived in that place. Given what we know happens, it probably was his friend. Remember he said that, like he had a bad heart, wore glasses?
Yeah, I loved that description he gave. And I'm like, nice. And then
like, he was a frail man, but he was here before you, and he was better than you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you could definitely tell Taylor came to the planet hating humanity, but because he felt where they went. But then during his interaction with the apes, he soon started to appreciate humanity until the very end again. But right in that moment, you can tell he had regained his love of his fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment. And
appreciate stuff, whatever is gone.
Yep. And then, of course, you have that whole moment of he's ready to head out there. Who knows what they'll do. And that whole bit then with Zeus. Hold on, let me find it. I know I read it before, but I'm going to read it again. Beware the beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. Alone among God's primates, he kills for sport, or lust, or greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers, for he will make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him, drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death. That and also the with Zeus's hold on, where is it? All right. You are right. I have always known about man. From the evidence, I believe his wisdom must walk hand in hand with his idiocy. His emotion must rule his brain. He must be a warlike creature who gives battle to everything around him, even himself. Again, Socha writing is so great, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
I love it.
But then, of course, once Taylor leaves, he's ready to honor the agreement with him, but he's ready to screw over Cornelius and Zira.
I hated that so much. I was like, you.
Apparently, they dropped it by the
liar.
sequel, though. Apparently, they dropped it by the sequel.
Yeah, and I was like, what's the change? Now you can't follow up with the change? Boo.
Yeah, but yeah, they head on out there. They blow up the all the evidence. Of course, they seem like they're going to play them for for treason and everything. And but then of course Taylor and Nova head on out there, and they soon find the Statue of Liberty, leading to one of the biggest twists of all. You maniacs! You blew it up! God damn you! Damn you all to hell! And it was back in the peak of the Hayes Code. But you know what their argument was to allow it? He was literally condemning them.
Mm-hmm.
He
love
wasn't
for men
taking
is gone now.
What?
The love for men is gone again. I'm just kidding.
Yep. But what did you think about that twist? I mean, you already knew it was coming, but still, the way they built up to it.
Thinking.
Oh, let me.
I mean, I still wouldn't have expected it either way.
Right.
It would have been a super surprise.
But yeah, just that big twist of he was on Earth all along. Oh, I love the other thing from Zeus. Do not go looking, Taylor. You may not like what you find.
And then when they said, "Oh, what will he find? He will find his destiny."
Now, of course, I don't think Zeus knew what he was going to find. He just felt in general, you won't like what you'll find. I don't think he knew. Obviously, he didn't believe that Taylor was from the future. Not at all. Or from the past. Not at all. So as far as he was concerned, he was just thinking in general, you might not like what you find. But Taylor got more than he bargained for. So yeah, what did you think about?
I was so confused about the destiny part. He was like, "What do you mean he'll find his destiny?"
Well, again, this is Zeus looking from the point of view of he's just another human from another tribe.
Was he saying he was going to die?
He was either going to die or eventually he might find his destiny out there, but not. But he probably was expecting Taylor to realize apes are still better than humans.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing his mindset, that's probably what he was banking on.
Mm-hmm.
So now, did you at least like how Taylor survived for now? I mean, obviously, it felt much more uplifting of an ending, despite the Brooke being pulled out.
I wanted him dead. I really didn't like his character.
Didn't at all. Oh, you want to know another possible thing they were going to do at the end, but they dropped it was Nova was going to be pregnant, but it was then decided, no, we do not want to set up the idea of them like what's the child's going to be like? Are they going to overthrow the apes? They didn't want any of that.
Well, I know that's the reason why they wanted him to mate and all that stuff, which I didn't get in the comic, but I got in the movie.
Yeah.
They were gonna castrate him, and that's why he ran. And I'm like,
No. They weren't going to castrate him. They were going to lobotomize him.
oh, they gave the excuse of castration.
To a degree. No, that's what some of them were told. But if you paid attention to what Zayas was saying, he said he wanted to do it take care of it through the
No,
brain.
I'm saying, I'm exactly that. It was what you're saying. Like they were
Yeah.
told that it was castration,
Yeah,
and that's
but
what made it.
but he knew. No, they're going to lobotomize me.
Mm-hmm. Didn't even think that. Dang it, I forgot about the lobotomization.
Yep. So yeah, what would you rank? But what would you rank this movie?
9 out of 10.
Really nice. Now, you said you would have preferred if we had the original movie. I mean, there was no way in hell they could film it. No way in hell.
No.
They were already making budget cuts as it was. That's part of the reason why we got the Stone Age look we got.
Mm-hmm.
There was no way in hell. Like I said before, there was no way in hell they could have shot that in a city like that. I mean, at least also doing it the way they did, you also were able to limit the outfits they wore. You weren't going to have everyone wearing normal people clothes.
Mm-hmm. Which is like, it was so hard to tell the orangutans apart because they wear the exact same clothes.
And
Like
it was the coloring.
Some of them have their hair parted. The prosecutor had like whiteness in his hair, so he was easy to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But Zayas and the other guy look too similar.
They did. You're going to tell because Zayas was not in the middle. He was off. He was to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Sustain. All right. Well, we'll see you all in the next one. We talk about the follow-up. It was a bit of a mess. Let's be honest. It's not the worst of the movies. Trust me on that one. But it was a mess. We'll see you as we go over Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Take care.
Take care.